In 2008, we returned to the fictional world known as Liberty City. The dark and grimy city is based, of course, on New York City, and it is in the game published by Rockstar Games. It is the 11th title in the Grand Theft Auto series, a series that people have grown to love and hate in the years with the controversial times that we live in. This, of course, focuses on Eastern European war veteran Niko Bellic and his attempts to escape his past while under pressure from loan sharks and mob bosses. The open world design, of course, lets players freely roam around Liberty City, consisting of 3 main islands. Today we're focusing on all aspects of this game, including the DLC content. My name is Josh Robinson, and this is 5 reasons why I love Grand Theft Auto 4. Reason number 1, living up to the hype. Now, Grand Theft Auto has kind of put themselves in this situation because they're so loved and they're so well received of that each game has to kind of top the last. And going into Grand Theft Auto 4, we're on the then current gen consoles, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360. There was a lot of expectations that had to be met, especially after the critically acclaimed Vice City and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, so we knew we were getting something good. Now, living up to the hype in these situations is almost near impossible, but let's look at this game in many areas, which we'll talk about over this video. But living up to the hype is something that I believe that Grand Theft Auto 4 did, especially in the time when it was released in 2008. It got critically acclaimed, it had its controversies, of course, as anything does within the Grand Theft Auto titles in this time, and even back then. There was a lot of stuff surrounding it with its violence and its kind of criminal mentality that it has within all Grand Theft Auto games. But focusing on number 4, there was a lot going into this game, and I think building upon what they had in PlayStation 2 and other aspects on Xbox, with San Andreas, with Vice City, and all kind of titles that were related to Grand Theft Auto, they had to build upon that, and they certainly did, making this the first kind of really big, way bigger than anything they've done before in terms of graphically and just what you can do in these games, from going to comedy clubs to just the aspect of being able to do these kind of things, and again, living up to the hype that they did within this game. It is a massive game and a massive leap forward to what we would see in the future, and that is reason number 1 why I love Grand Theft Auto 4. Reason number 2, the realism. Yes, I know what you're about to say. Josh, don't say the driving. No, I'm not going to say the driving. The driving was one of the biggest frustrations I had with this game. What I'm talking about with realism is, of course, the more realistic and detailed style and even tone for the series. Unlike kind of San Andreas and Vice City, which kind of took a more, I guess, cinematic influence from things, in my opinion, I think this kind of had an original approach to a story with focusing on real world and realism within the open world, within the Grand Theft Auto world that we've come to love. Upon doing my research for this, a lot of the research that they did for the open world was going to New York and capturing photographs and several hours of video and kind of going through the most important elements that were to be in Grand Theft Auto 4, which is the realism of Liberty City, and making it really kind of be not a copy, but for a lack of a better term, a copy of New York City, and kind of making it their own New York City. And I think that's one of the most important things, is just aesthetically, it looks so real, it feels like you're in that world, and I consider it to be reason number 2 why I love Grand Theft Auto 4. Reason number 3, the DLC content. Now, of course, when I kind of talk about Grand Theft Auto 4, I do include the DLC, but I thought it was kind of, duty to kind of include this as a reason of why I love this game, because now, while the story of Grand Theft Auto 4, the main game, the original game, is in some areas a little lackluster, there is a pretty basic format. I do like the story, however, focusing mainly on the Ballad of Gay Tony here is that story is so good. It won many awards for being critically acclaimed in just a storyline perspective, and building on what we already knew from Grand Theft Auto 4, it come a long way within the terms of the story, both stories were very good. I think all 3 stories are very strong, but I think when we talk about stories in Grand Theft Auto 4, it's hard not to say that The Ballad of Gay Tony is the best story. It is my favorite aspect of Grand Theft Auto 4, that club management style and the way you kind of go through as Luis, and everything else within the DLC. Now, I know in some elements of the DLC, certain things aren't open, like they are in the main aspect of the game. For example, the comedy club you can't just go to, that's not included in the DLC. However, focusing on story here, it's just so good. And The Lost and Damned is also very good with the story as well. And I think both stories within the DLC are better than the main story. However, they all have their strong points. But the DLC is reason number 3 why I love Grand Theft Auto 4. Reason number 4. Now, reason number 4 is a little different here because upon originally playing this, you wouldn't really be able to tell where they're going with the series. However, I think Grand Theft Auto 4 is a perfect launching pad for what we got with Grand Theft Auto 5. And Grand Theft Auto 5 being the cross-generation of console just mega giant that it is now with Grand Theft Auto Online and just everything it's done to build upon since the original release in 2013. Grand Theft Auto 4 is really like the step in, the perfect step in the next generation of Grand Theft Auto and going into the future and building upon this. I think this is the perfect launching pad for all of that. I think there's a lot of elements you can take directly from Grand Theft Auto 4 that have gone into 5 and hopefully into the future of Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto 4 is something that a lot of people don't talk about enough. We talk about San Andreas, we talk about Vice City, we talk about Grand Theft Auto 5, but I feel like Grand Theft Auto 4 kind of gets a little lost in the mix, and I don't think it's necessary. I think Grand Theft Auto 4 is a fantastic game, and again, it just, everything within this game, of course, there's some things that they learnt not to do, and they learnt to do, and that's just kind of the basis of building a great series like Rockstar do. But this is a perfect starting point for what we got with Grand Theft Auto 5 and getting their feet wet in this generation of consoles. It is so good, and it is just such a great start to everything that we got with Grand Theft Auto 5 and it becoming the giant commodity that it is today. So that is reason number 4 why I love Grand Theft Auto 4. Reason number 5, the online mode. Now I know, Grand Theft Auto Online in this day and age is something completely different to what Grand Theft Auto 4 was. Now, in the time of 2008, it's not like online gaming was dominating everything. It was a little bit more single-player driven, and we're on the cusp of building of what online gaming would become. But Grand Theft Auto 4 actually has an incredible online multiplayer mode, especially with some friends. I mean, you can just freely roam across Liberty City, you can do different modes like you can, and kind of, again, building upon what we got with Grand Theft Auto 5. But this is a really underrated online mode. It is fun, it is accessible. I know it's a multiplayer mode was discontinued with Windows, and I'm not sure if it's still open on Xbox 360 or PS3, but it was so good. You could kind of, you know, it was the basis, again, I'm going to keep saying it was the basis of what we got with Grand Theft Auto 5, but it really was. It was, you know, again, free mode, death matches, street races, all what we see with Grand Theft Auto 5 and Grand Theft Auto Online now, but it was just different, and it had a much more, I think, accessible menus, and aesthetically it was a little bit easier to use in my opinion, which I don't know if everyone's going to agree with, but hey, why I love the thing. But Grand Theft Auto Online in GTA 4, so good, and again, an underrated aspect of why this game is so great, and it's reason number 5 why I love Grand Theft Auto 4. And there we have it. There is 5 reasons why I love Grand Theft Auto 4. If you are new here, of course, you can go through this playlist, go through all of the 5 reasons why videos I've done as we move towards more wrestling and non-wrestling content here on this channel. Let me know below if you love Grand Theft Auto 4 or what's some games that you would like me to cover within this series. Now, with Grand Theft Auto 4, I don't think it really gets the love, like I said in the video, that it really has deserved and earned in its time. It's still playable to this day. I absolutely love this game. Tell me below, do you love Grand Theft Auto 4? Because I do. I know I do. It's a good time. Of course, you can follow me at JoshRobinson00 pretty much across the board. All of my links are in the description below. If you want to hang out with me on Twitch, I stream a lot during the week at different various times for different time zones so you can all kind of see me. Go to twitch.tv/JoshRobinson00 for more info. Again, all of my links are in the description below. Let me know in the comments what you want to see, what you want to see from this channel, what you want to see from this series, what you want to see me play on Twitch. I'm open to suggestions. If you want to chat with me, the best way to do that is on Twitter at JoshRobinson00. I hope you are having a good day, morning, night, wherever you are in the world, whatever time you clicked on this video. Until the next one, much love and peace to you all. I'll see you very soon.